Hello guys, welcome back. This is RandoGEEK. Alright guys, so we're going to talk about Verizon's outage. Alright, I felt it was important to talk about this. I'm going to share a link for one of the articles referencing this discussion. But the reason for this conversation is just because I figure it's something to talk about, because it has been something that has always interested me. It's something that I've always been aware of with Verizon, and many of you may be as well. So Verizon is probably considered the largest wireless provider. They're all big, right? AT&T is huge. T-Mobile is also huge. But when I say Verizon is considered the biggest wireless carrier, I say that for more than just a name and a reputation, but it's also about dependability, right? If you think about how the order of everything goes, Verizon is number one as far as businesses are concerned, and a lot of consumers as well. Just trust Verizon, right? It's pretty much the network everyone considers to be the strongest network. And then you have AT&T, who's pretty much in the middle. It pretty much divides. It's the divider between Verizon and T-Mobile. And then T-Mobile is, like I always said, the fun carrier, the more affordable carrier, the carrier you will go with if you're not worried about little things. Okay, little things like sometimes not getting the best signal in a basement or even in just a building in general. We all know that, T-Mobile is a great network, and when it does work, it's very powerful and strong, right? There's a lot of good perks with T-Mobile, etc. But when you think of a very strong network, and when businesses think of a very strong network, they usually choose Verizon, and then AT&T would be next, right? So that's my thing. Verizon is considered one of the strongest networks, if not the most strongest network. And Verizon has been having recently a very big outage issue that has affected many customers. All right. Many customers have been without service for a minimum of about a week now, at least. Some have been reporting even longer. Okay, reports are coming out every day about different cities and states that are being affected by it, right? So now Verizon says it's due to a fiber issue. They've been working with their fiber vendor to get this resolved, their engineers to get this resolved so that service can be restored. And for many, service has been restored. Some got it back. Some got service back within a minimum of like 2 or 3 days. Some are still waiting. I checked down. What is it? I checked Down Detector, right? And, even in my city alone, there are some reports, at least 15 reports already at 8 a.m. that people are saying that service is down. So, my thing is this. Stuff happens. Services go down. There's many things, especially when there's new deployments going on. It sometimes, if things go wrong, you add service to one area, it can affect something else. It shouldn't, but it does happen, right? That's part of technology. That's part of life in general, right? Sometimes people don't do everything correctly and it affects others. It can cause a problem. But it's one thing I noticed with Verizon, which is why I'm discussing this. Because Verizon is considered such a large wireless carrier, I've noticed Verizon is probably the one company that has the most outages out of the 3 carriers. Now, I'm not saying AT&T doesn't have outages. I'm not saying T-Mobile doesn't have outages. We all know they do. But from what I've seen, and time again, I've heard about, Verizon seems to be the king of outages. And the reason for this discussion is They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. Being that they're considered such a powerful network, and like I said, probably one of the most powerful networks, the most powerful network, I feel they need to do a better job at preventing widespread outages. I think they need to figure out a way to prevent this from happening. Many customers have been gruelly affected by this issue recently. Businesses have been delayed by at least a week, some of them, from getting services done, getting things done. They depend on these services. They need to have reliable internet. You know, they use these services for more than just contacting customers. Okay, their systems, you know, in their stores depend on this. There are some of these companies that use the, you know, Verizon's network for lottery machines, Keno screens, poker machines, various other services, right, that they offer. There's a couple people that own pubs, and they need to have a dependable network to operate their system. You know, they can't do it. Verizon is their network provider, and they can't move forward with their business. It's costing them money. You know, for a lot of these companies, they're small mom and pop shops that if they lose a day of pay, a day of service, that could crucially hurt them. Especially think about, we just had 4th of July. You know how many companies were probably affected yesterday and couldn't make money during a holiday, you know? So, you know, this is not a bash against Verizon. That's not what it is. What it is that I feel Verizon needs to do a little better with that. And I don't understand why they haven't. Because again, this is not a new thing with Verizon, is what I'm saying. There's been multiple times when they've had widespread outages that have lasted for weeks. And I feel Verizon is too big for this at this point. You know, I feel they need to figure out a way to strengthen their network so this doesn't happen, or have a better plan, you know, for when this does happen, how they can quickly restore service. They need to work more on that, because again, many depend on you, and this could drive a lot of customers away. I'm sure it already has. So, you know, the biggest concern with all these carriers is they don't want to lose customers. Well, it's not going to be necessarily your pricing that's going to do it. It's going to be the fact that you argue to be the most dependable and reliable network, you know, on top of fastest, right? But yet if you're always down, or if you're down for weeks whenever you do go down, it's bad, you know? Again, a lot of business customers depend on Verizon. You know, that's, like I always say, Verizon's the service that businesses rely on. You don't see many businesses using T-Mobile. T-Mobile is for everyday consumers, mostly people that want the latest and greatest phone, that don't want to pay a lot of money, that feel T-Mobile is a decent enough network to pay a little less and, you know, move on with it. Just get good service for cheaper money, because we know Verizon's a lot more typically, right? So businesses depend on Verizon. They don't depend on T-Mobile. So if T-Mobile has an outage, it's bad. It affects a lot of consumers. It doesn't necessarily affect as many businesses. Verizon, a lot of businesses trust Verizon. So I think, you know, one of the things Verizon really needs to focus on is preventing outages from disrupting so many customers. They need to figure out a way to soften the blow, you know, make it so it's the repair time is much quicker or preventable even, you know, because it's not, like I said, it's not something that happens you know, once every couple of years. It does happen a little too often with Verizon, and it lasts for a while. Even an entire day. If an outage lasts an entire day, it's still a problem. So it's something that I have noticed with Verizon, and maybe some of you can agree with me down below in the comments. But that's really it for this video. I just wanted to express my concern with that. It's kind of like a wish list for Verizon, something that I'd like to see them work on. Just because I do agree that they're a very strong network, but it is something that reoccurs a little too much with them. All right, guys, I want to thank you for watching and stopping by. Link for the article will be down if you want to read a little bit about it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.